What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Boom Breakdown, UFC 239 coming up. Um, Last time I was having a little bit of trouble with the mic, so if you tune in and you hear anything wrong with the mic, let me know so I can adjust that. Uh, Also, last time I went live on YouTube, it was a little muffled, like things were going a little bit, they were skipping and it seemed a little bit delayed on live. So give me feedback, let me know if everything's coming in smooth and if the mic sounds good and everything, and the questions. Also, if you have any fan questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll try to get to all of them, as well as the Twitter questions. Okay, great. So we're sounding good. Yeah, so UFC 239. Also, to start off, let's talk a little bit about John Lineker. The UFC cut John Lineker, and I got to be honest, I was a little bit surprised. Um, the guy's a really exciting fighter. He puts out knockouts, obviously, and he is a guy that really lays it all on the line every time he steps in the cage. Now, granted, let's be honest about the situation. He has pulled out of a lot of fights. He's missed weight a bunch of times. And he did recently release a tweet saying, please release me unless you're going to give me more activity and more fights. He has 5 kids. He works a job at a pet store. Supposedly, he's not happy with his pay, and he was asking the UFC for his release or for more fights. Now, in return, the UFC gave him a short notice opportunity to fight Rob Font at UFC Greenville. So he's cutting weight, and the rumor is that he gets a laceration or a cut over his eye, and he pulls out of the fight due to that. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true. I'm hearing rumors of other things. I don't really know what's true, and I won't really speak on that until I find out what it is. But just a shocker to me to see that they cut him. But now looking back, I understand the way the business goes. The UFC is looking at it as performance and pay and how much you're worth to them, as far as how reliable you are, and do you show up every time, do we pay you enough for what you give us? And there's a lot of business that goes into this decision making. It's not just, oh, you're an exciting fighter and we like you and that's it. Also management and different things, different variables that play a factor. But nonetheless, they get rid of him, and that is a huge free agent signing available for other promotions like Bellator, ONE FC. I'm really interested and excited to see where he goes. I think that he's going to get opportunities thrown at him very, very quick. I could see Bellator signing him. He would fit in great with the bantamweights over there. Haraguchi would be a great matchup. He just won the title there. And really anyone in the top 3-4 guys in Bellator would be exciting to see him go against. But we'll see where he signs. I didn't expect this. He is coming off of a loss to Corey Sandhagen, which was a very competitive fight and a very exciting fight. So nobody really expected this, but looking at his past experiences with the UFC, with missing weight and with, not showing up to, short notice fights and not making it to the scales, this is something that they decide based off of a lot of his history. So we'll see where he goes next. Keep an eye out for that. We don't got a Bumachino. I'm sorry. We have to go to Starbucks route this time. But, yeah, UFC 239, main card. Starting off with Diego Sanchez, Michael Chiesa. Michael Chiesa made the move up to 170. He's really starting to look like he's filling into the welterweight class. At first, took him a little bit of time to put on that muscle, but now he seems to be filling out his frame, and he looks normal size for the welterweight division. Diego is looking great, though, as of late. He looks like he has a resurgence. He spoke recently to the media about moving away from Jackson Wink, hiring a different coach who is a wrestler slash mind coach slash everything coach. But Diego seems to have a good mindset back in the game these days, and he looked good in his last fight. He defeated a young Mickey Gall, who's a top prospect who had a lot of hype behind him. And Diego looks good in that fight. He talked a little bit about range and how he was fighting at a range that was a little bit too far, and he just needed to be right here. You know, he was fighting here, and he needed to be right here because Diego is such a high level grappler. If he can get inside and scrap where he's like, in the pocket, but not at like a far enough range where you could pick him apart and utilize kicks to keep him at bay. He can really cause trouble if he can get inside on you and get in those high crotch positions where he could lift you up and slam you. And his ground and pound is ruthless. His control on the ground is really good. His top pressure and his scrambling abilities as well. The thing about this matchup, though, is Michael Chiesa is a great grappler himself, and he's a lot bigger than Diego, and he's going to have a little bit better striking, I feel. He's going to have the range, the reach advantage, and I think he's going to be smart enough to keep Diego at bay, and that will be the telltale to this fight. I think Diego's going to try to close the distance, and Michael Chiesa is going to try to keep his distance. Um, and I think Chiesa is going to be a little bit stronger than some of the guys that Diego's faced as far as grappling goes. He's going to be able to negate that, I feel. He's not going to get stuck under Diego for too long, if at all he gets taken down. And I think that if anything, he might be able to take Diego down and be the first guy, I think, ever to submit Diego. I don't know if that'll happen. It's possible. But that would be something to see if he could be the first guy to do so. I don't see that happening. I see the fight going the distance. I see I see the wrestling kind of getting negated, and I see Chiesa edging out the striking and being able to kind of pick Diego apart a little bit as the fight goes on. But Diego's going to start strong. He has a strong mindset, and he has a fast pace. So I think Chiesa just has to weather that storm in the early first round and start to use his range and his length and utilize kicks, straight kicks, snap kicks, leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks, everything to keep Diego at bay and utilize that range. I'm going to have to go with Michael Chiesa by decision in this fight. We got Luke Rockhold versus Jan Blachowicz. Luke Rockhold coming up from middleweight to light heavyweight. The guy's a huge middleweight. He was talking about the weight cuts, man, taking a lot out of him. And Luke Rockhold is a guy that you hear about in the gym, just tearing people up. Really doesn't have much challenges in the gym. He runs through guys, I hear, and especially on the ground, his ground game, his top game is like unbearable. I've heard that he's just something special. So, if he feels the way he's saying he feels at light heavyweight with all of his energy and his brain fully hydrated, being able to take shots and being able to really implement his game where he can put forward pressure on guys, utilize that big left southpaw kick to the body, to the head, and just kind of maul guys, take guys down, stay on top, pass guard, go to mount, and just ground and pound guys and find a submission if they can give him that. Luke Rockhold's a fucking terror on the ground. So, having come from AKA training with DC and Cain Velasquez, guys bigger than him that were both world champions, he's obviously, he knows where he belongs in the top of the divisions. He knows he can hang with bigger guys that hold a little bit more weight, a little bit more power, and who knows, maybe Rockhold will hold, the speed advantage at light heavyweight, moving up a weight class. That could be a big deal. Speed kills in these fights. So interested to see how Rockhold looks. But Jan Blachowicz is a really seasoned guy at 205. He's nobody. He's no slouch. He's not an easy task for Luke Rockhold. Stylistically, he's well-rounded. He's got power on the feet. He throws strikes at weird angles, different style of striking, a lot of hooks and uppercuts, stuff like that. And he's actually pretty good on the ground as well. I don't know what level he is in jiu-jitsu, but he has some submissions, and he looks like a strong guy for the weight class. So this is a good test for Luke Rockhold to see really where he stands in light heavyweight. And I'd like to see him fight the best of the best at light heavyweight. It's cool to see guys mix it up in new divisions and to see how they look without cutting significant amount of weight. The guy says he walks around at like 220, so he's still going to cut like 15 pounds to make this weight class. I'm going to go with Luke Rockhold in this fight, and I think he has the ability to get a finish. The way that he seems in the interviews leading up to this fight with Brett Okamoto, he seems dialed in. He seems confident, and I think he's going to come out hot first round, put it on Blachowicz, and try to get in his face early. And I think eventually he'll be able to get the fight to the ground and advance in top position, and perhaps have Jan Blachowicz give up his back, or give up some kind of arm triangle or a choke, or maybe even get a ground and pound finish in like the early first or second round. Luke Rockhold, the fucking model. Let's not forget, man, he was able to turn down a fight to take a modeling gig. So he's doing well outside the cage. He's making his money. And that's good to see other fighters doing things outside the cage, too. Ben Askren, Funky versus Three Piece and a Soda, Jorge Masvidal. Go check out my song, Three Piece and a Soda. He retweeted it for me, which was really cool. Shout out to Jorge. I actually put a little bit of money on Jorge in this fight. I think he's a live dog. I think he's somebody who could really do damage in this fight. Let's not forget Robbie Lawler had Askren hurt, and Robbie Lawler is a power striker who's just got that brute strength. And he is a southpaw though, but Jorge could switch stances. Jorge is a different fighter. He's very tricky, very elusive, switches stances, throws a lot of feints, uses his footwork. He's a guy who is a seasoned veteran who came from the background street fights. Think about it. He spoke about this in the open workout. He was walking in people's backyards where there was people with guns and knives and shit like that and just fighting random strangers just for the fun of it. You know what I mean? And now he's walking out to a safe environment, as safe, safer than what he was, to fight people to make money. He's having genuine fun doing this. I mean, relaxed in there, man. He's cool, calm, collected, and that's a powerful thing in the fight game, to go into the cage feeling calm and feeling confident. And having done this so many times, he's not worried about Ben Askren, who's really not a striker. He doesn't really pose a big threat as far as like taking damage and getting hurt in the cage. So I feel like that's going to allow Jorge to open up. Although he does have to worry about the pressure and the takedown of Askren, he really has speed advantage in this matchup. He has the striking advantage. He's going to be cutting angles. I think he moves a lot different than a guy like Robbie Lawler, who kind of stays flat foot. Jorge Masvidal's on his toes, and he's feinting and keeping you guessing, and he's quick. He throws volume punches, and I think he's gonna piece up Askren early. And he also has a personal vendetta against Askren. He's not happy with the guy, and sometimes that can play against people. But I think for Jorge, it's gonna be in his favor. He doesn't like this guy. He wants to hurt him. Look what he did to Darren Till, who he didn't really care to hurt too much, but that was a brutal knockout, man. He looked better than ever in that fight. He was able to withstand power, get back up, stay composed, and finish the fight. I got Jorge Masvidal, man. Something tells me he's going to piece Askren up, and Askren's not going to be able to deal with the accuracy and the volume. And I don't think Askren's going to be able to pin Jorge down against the cage. Jorge has great scrambling abilities. He does have good defensive wrestling. And he wrestles, he was training with Colby Covington. He trains with very high-level guys in the wrestling game. So I think he's well prepared, and I think he's going to get a TKO victory, referee stoppage, either in the first or the second round. The sniffles are back, baby. We got Amanda Nunes, Holly Holm. Holly Holm, tricky fighter to fight, but Amanda Nunes has that power, man. She's knocking out everybody. I mean, to see her knock out Cyborg like that was something special. That was something different, man. Those girls went in there and just scrapped, though. Holly Holm's a different fighter. She's not going to go in there and just get into the pocket with you and just brawl and try to see who goes down first. So I think this fight will definitely go a lot longer. And I think that Holly Holm is a tricky fighter. She's a southpaw. She's a very good kickboxer. She has a lot of experience striking, and she's going to come in there and use her movement and use her volume striking and try to make Amanda Nunes uncomfortable in there. But I think eventually Nunes is going to find her range, find her power, and I think that she can't back up. She can't allow Holly Holm to run away. She has to cut off the cage. She has to utilize her patience in there and not just let go of everything early. This is a 5-round fight. Holly Holm's going to make it difficult to find her. She's going to utilize a lot of kicks that are frustrating to try to get inside and use your hands. But Amanda Nunes has like surprisingly long arms too. Like her punches reach you from like further than you would expect. It seems like a kicking range, but it's her punching range. And I just think in this fight, Holly Holm's going to have a lot of early success with her kickboxing and her movement. But as the fight goes on, I think Nunes is going to find herself getting closer and closer to Holly Holm, and eventually landing a big enough shot where Holly Holm's like, what the fuck was that? And, most women do not feel like that when they hit you. So I think Holly Holm's going to have to deal with that, and it's probably going to be trouble for her, I think, as the rounds go on, though. And, I think that Nunes could, finish her in the later rounds, maybe the fourth or fifth, get a finish. If not, though, if the fight does go to the distance, Holly Holm has a chance of winning a decision in this fight, just based off of her style and based off of points. Interesting fight to see, but I'm going with Nunes. I cannot go against her after what she's done as of late. And John Jones versus Tiago Santos. What could you say about John Jones, man? How good is fucking Matt Hamill, though, right? You guys hear that guy? That guy's crazy good. Beat John Jones. Unbelievable. But Santos, you got to watch out for this guy early. He's bringing crazy power, and he has hard kicks. But John Jones is a tactician. The guy comes into fights well prepared. He observes his opponents. He's a genius in the cage at reactions, at improvisation, and at utilizing his game against your game and making your strength become your weakness in these fights. He knows that in this fight, the safest, best bet is utilize his wrestling. Take the fight to the ground. Stay on top of Santos. Make him work. Use your elbows. Use your ground and pound. But John Jones is stubborn, and he's the best in the world for a reason. He's going to go in there, and he's going to fight Santos toe-to-toe, but he's going to fight him smart. He's going to use his snap kicks to the leg, the knee kicks. He's going to utilize that calf kick. He's going to utilize that straight left kick up the front, and he's going to keep Santos away. And John Jones is very good at keeping his distance and avoiding big shots and circling out, bringing the fight back, resetting the fight, and then one-offing his kicks, one-offing his left hands. He's not a volume striker. He's not a guy who puts together 4 or 5 punch combinations or even 3 punch combinations that much. Usually he throws 1 or 2 punches or kicks at a time, but he just knows when to throw them and how to throw them to keep you off your game. John Jones is a guy that I feel like if Tiago Santos wants to have any success in this fight, he cannot show any respect to John Jones. Fuck all that. Come in this fight John Jones the way you fight everybody. Reckless abandonment. Get in his face, cause chaos. Do not let John Jones get comfortable. Do not let John Jones develop his range, develop his rhythm, and get comfortable in the fight. That's where he has success. You have to come in there and you have to just go nuts, because that's honestly your best bet at beating John Jones. I mean, look at his last fight with Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith kind of was calculated, took his time, let John Jones get off. It just got worse and worse and worse for him as time went on. You cannot let John Jones settle into the fight. I'm sorry, but if you want any success, you have to come out fast-paced, and you have to kind of just say fuck it and just fight him the way you fought everyone. Santos fights people reckless. He has crazy, vicious power. And he has the ability to finish anybody. But if you're going to finish a guy like John Jones, you got to hurt him early. You got to put it on him. So, who are we going with? I'm going with John Jones. I think eventually, I do think Tiago Santos is going to come out very fast-paced, very reckless. And I think John Jones is going to resort back to his comfort, his wrestling. I think he'll get the fight to the ground. I think he'll tire out Santos a little bit, where he's using his power. He said he put on some muscle for this fight. That could be to his detriment if he utilizes power shots. And I think John Jones is going to smother him on the ground. He's going to utilize elbows. He's going to control him in half guard, side mount, and eventually finish the fight, probably by ground and pound in this fight. That's what I foresee happening. And probably early on, like second or third round, I feel, because he's not going to want to deal with the amount of craziness that Santos brings on the feet. He's going to take it down where it's smart, where it's safe. His coaches are geniuses at game planning, and I'm sure that they're telling him, listen, John, we know you could beat anybody anywhere, but let's be safe. This guy's going to come with power. He's going to come fucking try to take your head off early on. Let's take the fight down. Let's tire him out, and let's finish it on the ground. John Jones, Johnny Bones Jones, Chill. Yeah, so that's my main card right there. But I will talk about some of the prelims. I will just touch up on them. I will just make quick picks for the prelim card. We got Gilbert Melendez coming back from a long layoff against Arnold Allen. I love Arnold Allen. Funny guy with him and his dad's relationship. I love hearing him talk on the mic. He's 14-1. He's young. He's hot for the featherweights right now, coming off wins, and he's 14-1. I just can't see Gilbert taking this guy out. This guy's in his prime. Gilbert's kind of on the downslope of his career, and I'm gonna go with Arnold Allen by decision. Marlon Vera fighting the newcomer Nohelin Hernandez. Marlon Vera was supposed to fight Sean O'Malley. I was really excited to see that fight, to be honest, because I thought that was going to be Sean O'Malley's first real tough test, being that Marlon Vera has really slick jiu-jitsu, and he's looked even better on the feet as of late, better and better every fight out. So I thought that would have been a really cool fight to see on this card, but obviously I'm going Marlon Vera. I think he's going to get a TKO victory or a submission victory. Either way, he's going to get a finish in this fight, probably first or second round. Claudia Gadelha versus Randa Marcos. Really impressed with Randa Marcos in her last fight. She has a lot of experience, not the best record, but a lot of experience. And Claudia Gadelha, though, is a really strong female. She comes in, gets aggressive. She's well-rounded. She's strong in the clinch. She has power in her hands. And I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for Randa Marcos. I don't think Randa's going to be able to take her down to the ground and control her. So I'm going to go with Claudia Gadelha by decision. Alejandro Perez versus Song Yodong. I'm going to go with Alejandro Perez by decision. Early prelims, Edmund Shabazian versus Jack Marshman. Edmund Shabazian's a big favorite in this fight, but I think it's a lot closer than people think. But I've heard a lot of good things about Edmund, and he's undefeated, and I think that he's got a lot of momentum. I'm going to go with Edmund in this fight by knockout. Ismail Nardiev versus Chance Recountree. I'm going with Ismail Nardiev. Guy's a hot prospect. A lot of big things about him, I hear, and I haven't seen many of his fights, but I hear he's looking solid, so I'm going with Ismail. And Julia Avila versus Pani Kianzad. I'm going to go with Pani Kianzad by decision. Most likely because the women's fights usually don't get brutal knockouts, brutal finishes, so a lot of them go the distance, and she has a lot more experience, 15 fights versus 6 fights, so yeah, Pani, it's going to pan out for her. You dig, you better. All right, so let's get to some fan questions. If Holly Holm, this is by Brandon Schwab at Jesse Jess on Twitter. If Holly Holm can upset Nunes, do you think she has a claim at the best female ever mixed martial artist? Taking down Rousey and Nunes for belts would be legendary. I'm pulling for her. She definitely has the potential, man. Like I said, if she could take the fight to the distance and utilize her movement, she has very good potential to win this fight. I don't know if she would be able to go down as the best ever just by winning this fight. Maybe if she beats Nunes, then fights Cyborg at some point and beats her, or even depending on who wins the fight between Cyborg and that other girl that beat Megan Anderson last. We'll see. She has the potential to do so, beating Nunes, because right now they consider Nunes the best pound for pound female mixed martial artist. So I guess if you beat the one, you are the one. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know if I'd quite give it to her yet. She might have a little bit more work to do, but it's really up to the fans, right? It's whatever they say goes. By Eduardo Bueno on Twitter. Can Holly outpoint Amanda? I think she has the advantage in a longer fight, especially in the last 2 rounds. I agree. Like I said before, realistically, if she can win by anything, it's most likely points. I don't think she's going to head kick her like Ronda Rousey. I don't think she has the power in her hands to really do that crazy damage, but I do think she has the movement, the elusiveness, and the volume striking to outpoint her, possibly take the first 3 rounds or the first two and the fifth round, she has good cardio. Um, Amanda Nunes throws a little bit more power, so she could fade as the fight goes on. So yes, Holly Holm definitely has the ability to win this fight by decision. That's probably the most potential for her to get a victory. Let's see what we got here in the comment section. See what we got here. I want Luke to succeed because I need that John Jones matchup. Yeah, I would love to see Luke Rockhold versus John Jones. That would be great. Fresh matchups in the division. We all want to see that, and I think stylistically that would be a great test for John Jones. As long as Luke Rockhold could show that he's a force to be reckoned with in light heavyweight, then I think that's a matchup to make in the future. Definitely. Any new songs coming out? Yes, I'm working on music. I have like 3 songs finished. I have to do some cover art to put some more songs on Spotify, but I have about 5 songs ready to go. I'm just trying to really make sure that I get my engineer work done professionally, have it sounding, as top quality as possible. And we're putting out songs soon, but I'm in the gym training twice a day, man. So it's hard to work on music at the same time, but I try to do that on my downtime. So, I write a lot, just about getting to the studio and recording and having it professionally done. Yeah, we're trying to get in there and work on some new stuff. So stay tuned. If Santos wins, it'll be a KO or a TKO. I don't see him getting a decision. Agreed. Yep. He has to KO Johns or TKO John Jones early. It's definitely not going to happen late. I think he has to do it early, and I think he's got to risk, gassing himself out to do so potentially. Excuse me. I think Shevchenko is right there with Nunes when it comes to the female GOAT. Yeah, Shevchenko's up there, man. And her last brutal knockout over Jessica Ai, obviously not the same competition that Nunes has fought, but, beating Joanna, beating Jessica Ai, if she could fight Nunes and beat her, she definitely is in the running for the female GOAT, that's for sure. Do you think Jorge beats Till in a rematch? I don't think they're going to do a rematch. I mean, he beat him clear cut, knocked him out cold big time. So, you can only have a 3-piece and a soda so many times. You know what I mean? So I don't think they would do the rematch. And if they did, I think it would be maybe a different fight, but I think Jorge could still do the same thing to him. I would love to see you versus Eddie Wineland. Yeah, that'd be a great fight. Eddie Wineland's a legend, man. I like his style. He's a hard guy to fight. He has long reach for the weight class. He fights long, and he has power in his right hand. And he's a good, exciting fight. I would love to get in there and exchange with Eddie Wineland. I think that'd be a great fight. He's coming off a victory. He looked really good in his last fight, so we'll see what happens next. I'm hoping to get on that August 3rd card in New Jersey, guys. Tweet the UFC, tell them you want Boom back in this shit. Let's go. Happy 4th of July. That's the Boom Breakdown. July 6th, UFC 239. Guys, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I really appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter at BrianBoom135. And let's get this fucking shit going. Let's get Boom back in the cage. I'm ready to go. Been training hard 2-a-days, putting the work in. I feel great. That wasn't me in my last fight. You guys know I'm better than that. We all get caught, but that just wasn't me in there. This next fight's going to be the best fight. I'm going to go in there and let shit go. Confident, flow, have fun. Boom, baby.